Okay, so we're going to go over the disinfecting steps that Bank of America has laid out for us. I have kind of recorded myself cleaning this process, and that way you can just see how I do it. This is the suggested way to kind of go through this. Alright, you can see here, first we start by spraying things down, touch point areas and all the countertops. Just a light mist, we don't want to overspray it. Now I am going to walk through, kind of do the trash, so that that disinfectant can sit there and dwell for a few minutes. I noticed this trash bag was dirty, so I am switching it out. They kind of prefer us to switch out all the bags all the time, or every time, but I only do them if they look used, overly used, or soiled. Sometimes if a bag hasn't been switched out in a long time, they're gonna complain, so. Now I'm taking my feather duster, hitting the bottom of the chairs. If the chairs are kept up, this is easy. You just knock dirt off them periodically, every time, whatever works for you. I'm always just trying to find stuff to do, extra things to do while I am waiting for that disinfectant to sit there. They want a 4 to 6 minute dwell time. I give it about 2 usually. I go through, I'm kind of organizing things, picking things up. That was an empty box of gloves that they had left there. Sometimes I throw away their trash, stuff like that I know is trash. I will throw it away. Just makes it easier for the next time. The neater it is, the easier your job's going to be. Wiping down the hand rails of the chair. Wiping down the hardware on the drawers, cabinets. Tops of things, behind things. I start in the back, work my way to the front. Lifting things up. Kind of moving stuff around, make sure there's not stuff behind there. I'm just going back over that. I saw some streaks, so I'm always double checking things. You see I grabbed that. That trash bag still looked good. There's a few things need feather dusted down there. That's why I always keep my cart with me. I'm gonna do my trash. I have all the tools I need right there on my trash can. Alright, that's a little bit closer view. I'm going to be pulling stuff out. Just kind of picking things up, wiping behind stuff. Neatly set it back down. Always trying to make things a little neater. The neater you make it, hopefully the neater they keep it. And it makes your job easier the next time. Things like paper clips and pins, they just build up. They will never straighten them up at some places. So when you do it, it makes your job easier the next time you come in. And hopefully it keeps it from building up. I always wipe under my keyboards, my mouses. Wipe off that stuff, it gets dusty. wipe off things they use, move them to the side. And I will neatly stack them back over where I've already wiped, wiping off my pins. I saw some fingerprints on the divider, so I wiped them off. I'm always looking for extra things that might be dirty. I'm just looking around as I'm cleaning, looking at what I'm doing, making sure I don't miss any dirt. I'm probably moving kind of fast. I would say go slower than this, especially if you're not used to working like this, picking things up as you wipe. I've knocked things over because I was going too fast. Just kind of want to take your time with it. Don't rush. We are all about not rushing. Quality over quantity. I sprayed that down and give it a minute to sit, so I'm gonna wipe this trash can off. And I don't know why it was on the desk anyway, so I'm putting it on the floor just to make it neater. They probably just put it there so they knew that they had emptied their shred. This was a mess over here, so I am straightening it up. It only takes an extra minute. Pull it out, pick up a wire, put things back neatly. So I don't really move stuff out of the area where they have it, I just straighten it up. And here I am just picking up some papers. They're probably going to move those tomorrow, so when they do, I want it clean underneath. I'll push those papers out of the back, make it neat. Alright, the printer, copier, they touch everything. They always leave the lids up, but I put them down for a second so I can make sure they get wiped and dusted. Because they're definitely going to see the tops of that when they copy things. I am wiping everything off, especially the screen where they touch a lot. Stuff gets ink marks all over it. You want to make sure they get wiped off. Dust on the vents and the table around it. As I walk through, I'm always spraying off the doors as I walk through them. And when you wipe the doors, I always wipe where they put their hands and push on the doors. They don't just use the door handles. Underneath, I always look for runs underneath the door handles after I sprayed. And you just think about how you open a door or close a door. You're always touching more than just the handle. And if this is kept up, it's pretty easy to do. It only takes a minute. Here we are entering the kitchen. So I'm spraying this. I picked up some trash. I just like to kind of move things around, or I was stacking that stuff in the middle. I don't want to spray it. Throwing trash away. If they leave food on the table, I do the same thing. I just kind of move it to the middle. I don't throw their food away. Spraying off the chairs. All the chairs have to be wiped down, disinfected, especially where they touch the back of the chairs and the handrails. Going through, spraying the rest of the kitchen. Give that table time to dwell. I'll do all the appliances on the outside. The microwave. Do the outside every time. I always check the inside. If there's debris, I'll spray it. Come back and wipe it out. Alright, so everything's sprayed down. Now we're going to go back and wipe. I will pick things up. Make sure there's no debris underneath them. As I go through and wipe down my chairs, so I just kind of walk around the table, wipe the chairs, pull the chairs out. This way when I come back, I can mop underneath the sweep and mop underneath the table, and then when I'm done mopping, I push my chairs back in and mop the rest of the floor. Wiping off the seats, make sure there's no debris. So I already wiped that part of the table, but I'm just double checking, making sure there's no smears, streaks. Alright, now we're going to go to the fridge. I'm wiping down with my disinfectant rag the handles. Now I'm going to switch rags. Switching to a red, or sometimes I have a gray rag for my stainless steel spray. I'm going to spray it over the trash can. You just need a little bit. That one's pretty well kept up, so it just needs a little bit of stainless steel spray on the rag to polish it up, protect it, and it makes it easier next time to clean. It only takes a minute because that one's pretty well kept up. Go back to my green rag, which I use for kitchens. I'm wiping down the handles above. Always wipe the backsplash behind the faucet. Polish up, you always want that to look neat. Sometimes I center it, the faucet. Move in my soap, make sure you don't have any soap rings left. They'll think you didn't clean. Put things back neatly. I'm going to clean out my sink. I would normally use stainless steel on the sink. I think I chose not to because I'm going to have to go back and clean it again, because the mop that we use there has to be rinsed in the sink. Every facility has a different mop system. Some have flat mops, some have an actual slop sink that we can use. Lifting things up, there's always debris under stuff on the kitchen. Kind of just move things around. Especially around the coffee makers, always coffee stains. And wiped up. I don't clean the coffee pots, but I always pick them up, wipe the handles off, because those are touch point areas, and clean around stuff, get the coffee grounds. You can barely see it, but I'm wiping off a toaster. So I always do the top of the microwave first, then I pull out my tray, wipe it off. A lot of times I just set my tray up on top of the microwave and wipe out the sides, the back, and to the front. Put my tray back in there. And done. Now I'm going to spray the cabinets. The hardware needs to be wiped down probably every time, especially with COVID right now, but these cabinets, since they have so many coffee makers above them, have coffee and spills running down them constantly, so I always wipe them off. I believe I'm wiping down this door and it sprayed when I came in. Getting the drips underneath. And open up the phone. And the light switch. Anything that they could possibly be touching as they're walking through. Alright, drinking fountains. Always go through and spray it, then I wipe off the handles, because as you saw there, I spray the water every time I do that. Then I go back and wipe the inside of the drinking fountain. I'm going to switch rags again. A little bit of stainless steel spray, just a little bit. Quickly polish them. So I'm walking through doorways, I sometimes feather dust, look for debris on ledges. So now we're going to clean the office. Walk through and spray the tabletops, arms of the chairs. That one's a leather chair, so I do the back of it. There's some chairs there you can see. Spray the handles. Now I'm going back and feather dusting these dividers need spot checked. Sometimes they'll have fingerprints on them, but if they're kept up, hopefully you won't have to wipe the whole thing down and you can just feather dust it off. Feather dust the back of my computers and the monitors. You can do the bottom of chairs. You can also feather dust the tops of the cabinets. So we give that disinfectant a little time to sit, and then I started wiping. I got there onto the chairs as I walked by. And I always move those around. Stuff gets stuck in the corners of them, so I just move them around a little bit. This is basically the same thing, picking stuff up, wiping things off. Straightening it up as I go. Wiping off the hardware on the drawers. And same thing, I always pull out my chairs, so when I come back to vacuum, I can push them in after I vacuumed under the desk. Another thing I like to do, if I've kept up all the dusting in the office area, then I will rotate and concentrate on other areas of the bank. So I will go through and just spray all the offices at once and go back and start wiping them down instead of doing one at a time. But I rotate this depending on if the lobby, the teller lines, and the offices, which ones need the dusting that day. But I'm always checking, make sure stuff looks good as I'm going through, wiping under stuff still. Okay, so you can see here I lift stuff up, get under wires. Sometimes I'll just slide my hand under some wires and gently put my rag underneath to get stuff, dust, bunnies, and things. Wiping off phones, lifting them up. Empty the trash as I go. Changing out the bag if I need to. Another reason it's important to keep your cart with you. Right now we are out in the lobby. I just kind of worked my way around the building. Now I'm gonna go to the check writing station. Spray all that down. I just spray sections at a time. That way it has time to dwell. Now I'm going and spraying down the rails. That has to be done every time. I always keep a rag under it. Just keep stuff from dripping down as I spray it. This was a trick that was taught to me by my operations manager, Jennifer. She came up with that. Now I'm going back to where I started. This glass looked bad, or plexiglass. Not coming clean. There were some spray spots on it that needed to get off, so my glance window cleaner, glass cleaner. Then I took a more dry rag. I used the kitchen rag because it gets the least amount of use, and I just give it some good firm swipes. Kind of helps with streaking. Sometimes the rags will leave some lint on the plexiglass, so I just let it dry and then feather dust it off. Okay, so you can see I'm doing the same thing, going back where I sprayed, wiping down the desk area, going around, straightening up, making things look neat, wiping under stuff. And I'm just always looking to see where there's dirt, what needs wiped down. We love it when our cleaners notice dirt, and so do the clients. They love it. Now I'm going back, wiping off these rails. This is one of Bank of America's requirements, that those get wiped off, sprayed and wiped off every time. I noticed some overspray from previous cleaners on there and some fingerprints. Now the other side of the teller line, I'm going to start by lightly spraying. I'm careful not to overspray the top over onto what I've already cleaned. And give it a minute to dwell, so I'm going to go through and just look for things that need feather dusted off. If you're noticing lint sticking, you're fighting it. Streaks, you're fighting streaks. Maybe your rag has gotten wet over the course of spraying and cleaning. You can always switch your rag out with a dry one, hang that one up for next time so it dries. You'll notice that I am wiping off the tops and the backsplash and the countertops and everything that got sprayed. I don't want to leave any spray on stuff or where it drips down. Now I'm doing this glass door, looking for fingerprints, wiping it down, and the handles. I'm going to go back with a dry rag and make sure there's no smears. Looking at it from different angles. The last thing I do is vacuum. I always do this after I sweep them up. I like to sweep stuff onto the carpet. I will cover sweeping and mopping in another video. See here, I'm going in a pattern and pulling out chairs, vacuuming under the desk. I have this in high speed, so I actually go slower than this, but I'm always looking to see, make sure I don't miss anything. Picking up trash cans, moving them as I go. Winding up my cord as I go, keep it out of my way. Picking up paper clips, rubber bands, any kind of large debris that if it gets sucked up by the vacuum, it will clog it. And then I always push my chairs in, make everything look nice and neat, straighten up as I go. This is also, I'm looking for if I miss any trash cans. Now I'm going to quickly go over a few other things. Bathrooms are covered in another video, so please watch that. Make sure everything looks neat and clean before you leave. Straighten up pins if you didn't do that while you're wiping down. Make sure that your closet area is straightened up and organized so it's ready for the next time you come in. Make sure your rags are hanging out to dry, all your supplies are neatly organized. We don't want the closets cluttered. Outside trash needs to be checked every time, emptied and full. We need to go through and wipe down the ATMs every night, outside and in the vestibules, which is the inside ATMs. And the dumpster area needs to be free of debris or trash. We need to make sure that we keep that clean. So this will conclude our video. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch it. Please apply these techniques They will help you succeed at Bank of America and other facilities. And please watch the other videos that we have on bathroom cleaning, kitchen cleaning, general cleaning, and floors. And let me know if you have any questions. You can always call or text me or email.